Unless you've been living under a rock lately, and after 2020, really, who could blame you? You've probably heard about the record low housing inventory and how low supply is giving home buyers fewer choices and pushing up prices. The problem is, low inventory is less than half the story. And if knowing really is half the battle, then knowing half the story would be a quarter of the battle? And that just doesn't sound good at all. So let's get moving. I'm Jed Williams, Principal Broke for Hagen Realty, and I'm about to give you the greatest gift anyone has ever given in the history of forever. Now, I'm going to bet that you have a friend who's that realtor.
Guess what? I've been in your house when you weren't home. And yours. And yours. No, I'm not a burglar. I'm a realtor.
You know, the one who's always talking about how hard they're working, despite their Instagram being littered with pics of happy hour cocktails. The one who relates absolutely every story back to how they got multiple offers on their latest listing. The one who knows positively everything about the housing market and how this record low inventory makes now the perfect time to sell. Yeah, that realtor friend. Let's call her Karen. Oh, so much a Karen. My gift? I'm going to give you a way to shut Karen up for a while. At least if you live in the greater DC metro area, that is. If you're watching this from someplace else like Chicago, I love your pizza, but I've got nothing for you.
I've never seen anyone eat pizza like that.
For the past 6 months, realtors have been torturing everyone within earshot with endlessly self-aggrandizing tales of how they heroically received multiple offers on their last listing, juxtaposed with whining rants about how low supply has meant their buyers can't find anything, without the least hint as to how those two might be somewhat ironic. The truth is, Karen's actually right about the market. Well, sort of. Not really. No. Housing inventory is at an all-time low, but it's a critically important distinction that the supply of homes available to buyers is not. If that sounds like a purely semantic difference, well, you and Karen may have something in common.
Damn!
Give me a minute to explain the difference and why it's so important to both buyers and sellers. And bear with me, we're about to get a little nerdy for a bit. This chart shows the number of DC metro area homes for sale on each day of the past 3 years. And you can see that there's a pronounced downward trend, even if it is a bit lumpy. And that today, we are at the lowest level we've been in that entire time, well below where we were 3 years ago. This is the same data shown year over year to make a direct yearly comparison a bit easier and to help isolate some of that seasonal lumpiness. Here you can see that except for this one time period in January of 2019, every day of the past 3 years has seen lower inventory than the same day the year before. This is housing inventory as the real estate industry defines it, and it is at its lowest level in the DC metro area going back over 15 years, which would make Karen right, wouldn't it? Buyers have far less to choose from now. No, that's taking an accounting definition of inventory which focuses exclusively on the seller's perspective. But from a home buyer's perspective, inventory means something entirely different. I'll give you a couple of examples from other industries to better demonstrate how inventory really depends on perspective. Let's say you're happily assembling your brand new Kunin from IKEA, because let's face it, nobody likes the Erdal. And wouldn't you know it, they've left you one screw short. You jump onto homedepot.com to check the inventory. They have 0 at your local store and 792 of them in Poughkeepsie. They could have one to you in 3 days. But you're getting openly mocked by your spouse and quietly judged by your cat.
How's that Kulin coming along? IKEA doesn't assemble itself, you know.
So you really need to finish it now, today. 3 days from now is useless. You want to screw now. You're in lies the difference in perspective. To Home Depot, they have 792 in inventory, but as far as you and your Kunin are concerned, they've got nothing.
Duh.
The same is true with gas. When you hear an economist talk about gasoline inventories, they speak in terms of barrels of oil on a tanker, or in a pipeline, or sitting in some huge storage tank in
Greenbow, Alabama!
Which is all well and good for Exxon. But when this is staring you in the face, and your mother's on the phone judging you for not filling up half a tank ago, the only thing you care about is that the Sheetz on the next block has gas right now. That's the importance of looking at inventory from the buyer's perspective. Because in over 20 years of doing real estate, I've never once had a buyer say they needed to buy a house today. It's true, some buyers have tighter timelines than others, but the average home buyer searches for 3 to 4 months. So let's take another look at inventory from the buyer's point of view. This chart shows the average time on market on each day so far in 2021, meaning the number of days it took a home to go from active to under contract. This point right here, the red one, that was Valentine's Day, February 14th. If you listed your home on Valentine's Day in 2021, the average time it took a home to go under contract was 34 days, which would mean March 22nd. So homes listed this day would, on average, have been on the market for this amount of time and gone under contract on this day. The purple band represents a buyer who started looking for homes on February 1st. This section here represents all of the homes for sale on February 1st. Some that had been listed that day, some the day before, some the day before that, and so on. To put an exact number on it, there were 5,467 homes for sale in the DC metro area on February 1st. The lowest number for that day going back to 2007. So by Karen's definition, our buyer would have the fewest homes to choose from in 14 years. But our buyer didn't buy a house the first day they started looking, so they kept looking the next day. And on February 2nd, 114 new homes were listed. 196 homes went under contract, and another 39 were pulled off the market as failed listings. So that on February 2nd, there were 5,293 homes for sale. Karen's inventory had gone down by 174 homes, but from our buyer's perspective, our buyer had access to 114 more homes than they'd had the day before. More homes, not fewer. And what if our buyer kept looking for just 2 months? By April 1st, housing inventory had dropped another 8% to just 4,802 homes. But our buyer would have seen 12,901 new listings since they first started looking, plus the properties that were already on the market on February 1st. That's over 18,000 homes. Karen's inventory number, 4,800, but to our buyer, it was 18,000. And that is what housing inventory looks like from the buyer's perspective. The number of new listings hitting the market during the time of their search often matters far more to a buyer than the number of homes for sale on any one given day. In the case of our February 1st buyer, the new listings mattered 236% more than Karen's daily inventory number. So now, let's take a look at new listing activity. This chart compares the number of new listings in the DC metro area for each of the past 4 years. The purple is 2021, and you can see clearly that so far this year, there has been almost exactly the same number of new listings as each of the prior 3 years, and at times, even more. And here is the full buyer's perspective. This chart shows the total number of new listings a buyer would have seen each year if they had started searching on January 1st and kept looking for 3 full months. As you can see, 2021 had the second highest number of new listings in over 10 years. Only 2017 was higher. Why is this happening? Well, the full answer to that would be a much longer and far nerdier video. But the Cliff Notes version is that the single-day inventory shortage is a function almost entirely of a shorter average time on market, not of fewer homes being listed. So what does this all mean to you as a home buyer or seller in this market? Well, a few things. For buyers, it means that you actually have more homes to choose from, not fewer, but that you'll have to get to them quickly and won't have as much time to decide whether or not to make an offer as you would have in years past. For sellers, it means there is a significantly greater amount of competition than Karen would have you believe, especially the longer your home stays on the market. So you'll need to prep and market your home accordingly. Who you hire to list and sell your home matters. For the housing market in general, it's a modest warning sign. It means that the market we are in is fueled much more from the demand side than from low inventory. And that's important because markets driven by demand side pressure can change direction much faster than a market driven by supply side constraints. So you'll need someone keeping a very keen eye on it to protect you from a swing. And as for your friend Karen, the next time she starts droning on about low inventory, nudge one of your other friends and tell them,
Pay attention, kids. You're about to hear from the number 4 realtor in town.
if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you keep up with all the new housing developments and other terrible puns. And if you didn't like it, be sure to hit that thumbs down button twice.